Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and today we're going to talk about my top 10 games of 2018. Now, a lot of people regard 2017 as a very, very good year for video gaming, and I seem to recall not being as hot on 2017 as many other people, although it was good. But I thought 2018 brought some just fantastic video games into the world. And overall, I was very happy with 2018 as a gamer. There's plenty of games that I missed out on, that I skipped for one reason or another. I think really the only notable one that's sort of a bigger game that I purposefully skipped was maybe Detroit Become Human. There was also, let me see, what are the big games that I missed? Celeste was on a lot of top lists that I didn't really play. It looked kind of difficult. What else? I thought there was something else. Oh, A Way Out was on a lot of people's lists, which was sort of that cooperative two-player prison break game. I did not play that because I don't really have anyone to play that with. That maybe is about it. I'm sure there's something else, but that's probably about it. But I did play quite a bit this year. And so we're going to go from number 10 down to number 1. But first, the honorable mention, since it didn't actually come out in 2018, but I played it in 2018, and that is Hollow Knight. So I checked, my first video of my Let's Play came out December 31st, 2017. So the majority of that Let's Play, majority of me playing it was in 2018. And then when it came out on the Switch in June, I think, I replayed through it again. And, yeah, if it was actually on the list, if I had put it on the list, it would have easily made the top 3. Which is saying something, because the top 3 are very good. Yeah, Hollow Knight is just one of those games where whenever I think, it has its frustrating moments, absolutely. Like, the Path of Pain can really just go fuck itself. But, whenever I just think about Hollow Knight, it is always fondly. Like, there's just something about that game that just sticks with you after you're done. It's definitely one of the best games I've played in the last 10 years. And just it all comes together so well. The gameplay, the story, the art design, the music. I can't wait for my vinyl soundtrack of Hollow Knight to get here. Listen to that non-stop. Yeah, it's just an incredible production of, independent video game creation. And apparently, they're coming out with one more sort of big DLC thing where you get to play as Hornet, I guess. But yeah, Team Cherry, Jesus. I don't know why I passed on that game when I first saw it, but I'm glad I did not leave it untouched, because yeah. I keep recommending it to everyone I know. Gotta play Hollow Knight. Just incredible. But let's begin the list seriously. Really, my top 5 are very solid, and definitely was like, oh yeah, that's on there, that's on there, that's on there. Numbers 10 through 6 are somewhat interchangeable, for the most part. It's not like a strict ranking system. I didn't think about it for an hour or something. But number 10 is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which I'm still doing a Let's Play of as of this moment. It's almost done. And I think it's a game that is sort of harmed by the Let's Play process. Much like when I did Shadow of the Colossus. That's always my go-to example when I think of a game that doing a Let's Play sort of ruined it for me. Because generally when I do a Let's Play, my goal is to finish a game not as quickly as possible, but with some degree of haste. And so when I'm doing a Let's Play, I don't really just like sit back and relax and just get immersed in the game. And sometimes doing a Let's Play works to a game's benefit. Like, many times I would never finish a game if not for doing a Let's Play. But there are examples of games that are hurt by that sort of hasteness, and the speed and sort of just the focused playthrough of just trying to get through it. Because I don't want to extend a Let's Play out too long, because I find that if I play a game leisurely and the Let's Play becomes too long, I always end up just sort of getting annoyed by the game. So, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is, as far as the Let's Play is concerned, like 2/3 of a very good game. You know, like the first 5 parts or whatever that Let's Play were just awesome. Just super fun, getting all these new monster forms and just exploring this gorgeous world. The music was always fun and exciting and just awesome experience. But then, as things dragged on and you're meant to continue to go back to different locations and explore and, find all these things and just enjoy the world, whereas I was focused with just, sort of driving on and finishing, things started to fall apart, and I get annoyed by the whole Let's Play, and it just doesn't work out. So, I put it on here pretty much because of, like, the first half of the game or so. It is that good that it got a spot on the list. And I think maybe in, like, 5 years' time, I'm going to want to go back to it and just enjoy it on my own and just play through it. There are frustrating moments, just like Hollow Knight has frustrating moments. And it's certainly no Hollow Knight, as an altogether package. But it is a very cute game, and it has a lot going for it that the Let's Play kind of ruined. But still, number 10, Monster Boy. Number 9, another game that a Let's Play somewhat ruined due to being an RPG, is Octopath Traveler. I had pretty high hopes for this game, actually, and I think that might have influenced things as well. But Octopath Traveler was a Square Enix turn-based RPG released in 2018. That's going to set the bar pretty high for me. Just because, Squaresoft, Square Enix, they've put out so many awesome turn-based RPGs, although Square Enix less so than Squaresoft. But and visually, the game was very cool. Probably one of the best things about it was its visual aesthetic. And the actual combat itself was very cool. I did like the combat system of sort of that very focused, controlled, turn-based style of combat, where you can really plan out all your actions. I really enjoy that most of the time. Where it fell short was in the characters and story, which normally I don't care much about, and really that does not cost as many points for me as the actual level progression system being somewhat limited. That hurts more than the story, which I did end up complaining more about the story, but that was just because it was easy pickings. So it was a unique concept. again, I think they have a framework here with Octopath Traveler that is very good. The combat and the visual style and all that is a very good framework. And so if they want to go to Octopath Traveler 2, which, I mean, the game sold very well from what I hear, or they do another game just using the same engine or whatever you want to call it, but they enhance the story, the narrative, the characters, and the level progression system, I think you'd have a really, really big winner on your hands. But it was an enjoyable experience for the most part. I do look back on it fondly. So that's why it makes number 9. And, it's a turn-based RPG. That's just my bag. That's my bag, man. So, yeah, number 9, Octopath Traveler. I probably should have made it number 8, but I'm boring. Speaking of number 8, it is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, Assassin's Creed has been going on for a while now. I remember playing the original way back in the day, and I thought it was very damn cool. And Assassin's Creed 2, very cool, probably better. Yeah, definitely better. And then on it went, and basically slid down and down and down, with Assassin's Creed Unity being just the asshole of the Assassin's Creed series. And then Assassin's Creed Origins came out, which I didn't even play, really, because I don't know. I think it came out the same day as something. I think it was Mario or something. And so time went on, and then Odyssey was like, you know what, I'm going to give this one a try. I hear Origins was good. I liked the whole, time period and all that. I'm going to give it a shot. And it turns out it was pretty good for a while. I did end up liking the setting. I did end up liking the changes that they've made to the Assassin's Creed formula. Overall, it was fun to play. It just got to a point where I was just like, okay, I've experienced most of this game. The rest is just sort of a looped gameplay for another 40 hours or whatever. The game just seemed so massive. And, I kept going. I was doing all this side stuff. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I think I've experienced this game. And now I'm done. So I never finished it. But I did enjoy the time I spent with it. So it's not like it was a waste. It's not bad. It just was... There was more of it than I needed. It's like you get served some dinner. And you enjoy the dinner, but you don't finish it. That doesn't mean you rank it as like, wow, this was a shit dinner. I didn't even finish it. It's like, no, you enjoyed what you had. That's what Assassin's Creed Odyssey was for me. I enjoyed what I had. And maybe someday I'll come back to it when it's fresh again. And yeah, I can basically start from where I ended, but it's all new and fresh again. It's not the loop anymore. Maybe someday I will finish it, but they'll just come out with another Assassin's Creed soon enough, and then it's like, well, why don't I just play that one? So I don't want to harp on it, because like I said, there was a lot of fun things in there. I like level progression. It seems kind of weird to throw in every game, but I do like level progression. I like equipment. I like upgrading your character and getting more powerful. I like all that stuff. So, yeah, it seems kind of a fit for Assassin's Creed. And it was a very pretty game. Very pretty. And I like that, you could switch up your approach and your style of taking care of situations, which is, a little strange as an assassin, but I guess you're not really an assassin. You're just a mercenary. It should be called Mercenaries Creed. But still, good, solid game that I got my fill of. So that was number 8, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Number 7 is another sequel. Actually, there's a lot of sequels on this list. Yeah, only like 3 of the games on this list are not a sequel. Number 7 is Pillars of Eternity 2. So I am a huge fan of Baldur's Gate 2. It is one of my favorite games of all time. And now that I'm speaking of it, I want to go play it right now. But there hasn't really been a game that matches Baldur's Gate 2. And I'm not saying Pillars of Eternity 2 matches Baldur's Gate 2. But it did come fairly close to give me that same kind of feeling of when I'm playing Baldur's Gate 2. And actually, when I first started playing it, like my first character and stuff, I really disliked it. I don't know if I thought it was too difficult or some. I don't know what it was. I just did not care for it. And so I started another character. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play this the same way I like to play Baldur's Gate 2. And that is by playing a single character who's usually like a rogue or a thief or an assassin. That's how I really love to play Baldur's Gate 2. I was like, I'm going to do that. And so I started a fresh character. And then that's what I started doing. I just kicked out all the other the party members and all that. And I was like, fuck all of you. I'm a one-man band. And I played for hours and hours, and I really enjoyed it. And it gave me a feeling pretty similar to when I was playing Baldur's Gate 2. So the combat was very entertaining. I did sort of like exploring the world. You know, aesthetically, it's a very gorgeous isometric game. It has a lot going for it. The only thing that I really disliked, just right off the top of my head, is the ship stuff. I thought the ship stuff was all done really just poorly, at least for me. I just did not like any of it. I never wanted to be on the ship. I never wanted to fight other ships. I just wanted to be going around the same continent and just going on foot. That's what I liked. But the game is all about this archipelago, and you're always going to be on your ship, and you're bouncing between all these different islands, and you're going to be encountering other ships, and it's just, I didn't like any aspect of that. Just like I hated it in, like, Assassin's Creed 4, which it was a huge part of that game, and I did end up platinuming that game, but I didn't like any aspect of the ship stuff. I don't think they'll ever make a game where I like piratey ship stuff. No. But I will say that overall, I think Pillars of Eternity 2 is better than the first game. Because I don't remember anything of the first game. And I really have no interest in going back to it. I'd rather just play 2, despite all the ship stuff. Now, I haven't played Pillars of Eternity 2 since it came out, so it's possible they've patched some stuff, they made ship combat better, maybe there's mods or something that makes it more interesting. I don't know. It's worth another look, and just because of that, it makes it to number 7, Pillars of Eternity 2. Number 6, another 2 game, is Hitman 2. So I'll say that, to be honest, my favorite game in the Hitman series still is Hitman Absolution. Which I think a lot of people don't like that game because it's so linear or something like that. But I played through that game like 4 times, and I wouldn't mind going back and playing through it again. I don't know. That was like the first Hitman game I played, believe it or not. And I don't know. I just thought it was really awesome because you could throw screwdrivers into people's necks. That was my favorite. And so I would just go through like every level, just killing every single person I could by killing them with like screwdrivers and scissors. Just throwing things. I just thought it was awesome. That's pretty much it. And I think maybe you did get penalized probably for killing things, because it's, you know, for killing people you didn't have to. I think that's probably in every Hitman game. But I don't know. I didn't care in that game. I just did not care, and so I enjoyed it. With the new Hitman games, I'm so concerned for being penalized, and I try so hard to be like the perfect Hitman that's doing everything perfectly. And so it really just like, because I never do that. I never do anything perfectly because I'm not very good. And so it's just like, oh, it's frustrating to not be perfect. And I care for some reason in the new games. Whereas in Absolution, I didn't care. So I don't know what the difference is. Maybe it's just how they display points or what. I don't know what it is. But that being said, the new games are very, very cool. The new games definitely make you feel like a professional hitman. Most of the time. I don't really care for all the silliness that they throw in there. Like, you know, like all of the weird costumes and sort of the weird deaths you can pull off and all that stuff. And you can kind of try to avoid it, but it's always sort of there in the background that the games are a little bit silly. But, yeah, when you actually do pull off something really well, you know, you kill a target and you didn't hurt anyone else and you did it, you know, without being seen, without being heard and all that, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, Hitman. And so I call them the new games. Really, they're sort of bunched together. Hitman 2 is really like Hitman 1.25 or something like that. They're very similar. But Hitman 2 does introduce much larger levels. Like, they are pretty large in scope. There's minor improvements here and there. And most importantly, it's not episodic, which was just a good decision, I think. You know, if they do Hitman 3, which I'm sure they probably will, I would hope that they sort of push things a little further. They come up with something a little new. You know, they get a little bit more creative and they don't just go for Hitman 2.4 or something. Because I don't want this series to fall into the Assassin's Creed thing, and I have to wait 9 games for them to really like revolutionize it. But I did enjoy my time with Hitman 2 quite a bit. You know, I'm not one of those people that plays through the same level like 8 times or 20 times and discovers every little thing about it. But I played through each of the levels like 3 or 4 times each. You know, some of them like 5 times. And yeah, it's good. It was just a solid experience. I enjoyed it. So that's why it makes number 6, just being solid. Okay, number 5. This is the last indie title, I guess, on the list, and that is Into the Breach. So this game really sort of came out of nowhere for me. It's from the makers of FTL, which I wasn't a huge fan of. It was just sort of too stressful for me. It's like, maybe if it was turn-based, it would have been good. And lo and behold, they make a turn-based strategy game. And so I played a lot of Into the Breach. Many hours were put into the Breach, and it's still stressful, but in a turn-based way, and that is acceptable to me. It's turn-based strategy on it's like a micro scale. You get a small map, limited number of characters, and it's almost really more of a puzzle game than turn-based strategy. But it's just so good. Like, when you reduce it to these sort of core concepts, but everything is done well, it just works. It just works. And I don't love puzzle games, and I don't love a lot of strategy games, but for whatever reason, Into the Breach captivated me. I love the aesthetics of it. I like the music. I kept wanting to, unlock new mechs and new, weapons and tools and stuff like that. I just wanted to keep going and get better and better. It did hit a certain point for me where it's like, okay, I've done practically everything now. I've experienced it all, so I guess that's it. But for what it cost, I got a lot of entertainment out of Into the Breach. So for anyone that likes turn-based games, strategy games, puzzle games, whatever, Into the Breach is worth looking at. Because it's not complicated. That's the thing. It's really not a complicated game. There's not a lot of concepts involved in it. But what it has is done really well, and it's really entertaining. So I'll have to get back into it. I'm mentioning all these games. I'm like, yeah, I should play that again. Once you do the wrap-up, and I'm reminded of all these games. So number 5, Into the Breach. Number 4 is Red Dead Redemption 2. So, when Red Dead 2 came out, keeping in mind, I did play Red Dead 1. I don't think I ever beat it, and I wasn't crazy about it. It was fine. But when Red Dead 2 came out, I said that it was the most impressive video game I've ever played. And I think at this point, it's still a true statement for me. That does not mean the best game I've ever played. Clearly it's at number 4 for 2018. So it's definitely not the best game I've ever played. But the amount of work and time and effort and thought that went into that game is more impressive than anything else I've ever experienced. I don't think I really have to talk that much about the positives of Red Dead 2 to the people listening to this. You're probably somewhat familiar with this game. Yeah, I mean, you've seen how it looks. You've seen all the things you can do in that game, and the animations and the voice acting and the narrative and just the scope of the game, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's incredible. But the reason it's at number 4 and not at number 1 is, I guess, fun. I think that's what it is. I play video games to have fun. And while there are many parts of Red Dead 2 that are fun, looking at it as a whole package, there are many parts that I would say are not really fun. Impressive, maybe. Awesome at times. Noteworthy. But not really fun. There's a pace that Red Dead 2 is set at. the way the characters move and the way you accomplish things and the way you're going through the game. There's a certain pace you're at where it's realistic many of the time and it's impressive and all that stuff, but it's just, I wouldn't say in some moments that I'm always having fun. And so that's a big part of why it makes number 4 and not number 1 or 2 or something like that. And so I respect the hell out of Rockstar for making the game. And I'm certainly glad I played it. I'm certainly glad I threw some money at them. I'd love to see more experiences and games with this level of effort and time put into them. But because it wasn't one of the funnest games I played this year, it only made it to number 4. And in fact, I haven't even beaten it yet, which is a little shameful, I'll admit. But when you have games that are that big in scope and there's so much to do and there's so many side activities you can do with really no benefit whatsoever, you just do them because you want to do them, you hit a certain point where it's like, oh, I'm full of Red Dead now. I went through my cowboy phase when that game came out and it was just Red Dead every day and you're just immersed in that game for, a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then, okay. I definitely want to get back and finish it. Because you do start to get attached to all these different characters and the story and all that. So I do want to see how the story plays out. I just might have to be like, okay, I can't do all this side stuff. I can't. I got to stick to the story. It's such a big game. But yeah, like I said, it is the most impressive game I've ever played. So that alone has to put it in the top 5. Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 3, speaking of fun, is Spider-Man, or Marvel's Spider-Man, I guess. So this was certainly an anticipated game for me. I'm not the biggest Spider-Man fan in the world. I mean, only one person in the world can hold that title. I don't know who it is. But I like Spider-Man. I've seen all the Spider-Man movies. That's got to count for something. And, I'm a fan of the character. And I figured this is Insomniac, PS4 exclusive, Spider-Man. It's got to be pretty good, right? Turns out it was pretty good. And so it doesn't reinvent the wheel as far as video games are concerned. It doesn't do anything mind-blowing like, whoa, we've never seen this in a video game ever. I would not say it's as impressive as Red Dead 2. But what it was, for me, was pure fun from start to finish. I beat that game. I platinumed that game in like 3 days. Just because I was just glued to the seat in front of the TV, controller in hand, and just Spider-Man. Just nonstop until it was platinumed and I had done everything. And I think even when I finished it, I was like, no, I need more. And so I started a new game on like the highest difficulty. I was like, yeah, Spider-Man. Eventually I got my fill. But yeah, it was just very, very entertaining. There were frustrating moments. I think some of the challenges were a little obnoxious. But overall, just, God, flying through that city, shooting webs and just swinging up and down and racing around. It was just, and beating up all the bad dudes, and it just looked so flashy, and it was so fun to control, and it was just, yeah, Spider-Man was great. Just another fantastic exclusive for Sony. Great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, there's nothing else really to say. I mean, like I said, it was not as impressive as Red Dead 2. Certainly not. but the fun aspect works in its favor. So that's why it's number 3, Spider-Man. Number 2. Oh, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Number 2 is God of War. So I'm certainly a fan of the God of War franchise. I've played through all of the main series, although it has been a long time since I played through 1 and 2. Because before this new one came out, whenever I wanted to play God of War 3 was always the most convenient one. Because you're just like, oh, it's on PS3, you know, I've got it hooked up, I'll just play God of War 3. But I was a fan of the franchise. I liked Kratos, you know, just classic anti-hero badass. Same reason I liked Riddick, you know, same stuff. I liked all the mythology things going on in the background, and it was just fun. I was never that great at the games. I've never really been great at that sort of fast, what does Yahtzee call them? Hacky slashy mamathons. I'm never good at those, especially, but I enjoyed it. And then the new one comes out and raises the hell out of the bar. Now, this was sort of a unique situation because of its tie-in with the Exploring series. Since I had just been doing the Norse mythology series, and I knew the new God of War was going to be all about Norse mythology, and I was pretty damn sure I was going to do a video talking about Norse mythology in God of War, I knew I needed to play a lot of God of War very quickly. But not only quickly, I also needed to focus on the Norse mythology aspects as much as possible. And so, in a lot of situations, I think that would hinder the experience for me, because I would be so distracted, I'd want to rush through, I wouldn't be really focusing on the game, but I think in this situation, it helped. It helped me really just get immersed in the world that they were creating here, this Norse mythological world. And I could appreciate so many aspects of the mythology that they had put into the game. And I think it really enhanced my experience with God of War. I think if I didn't know anything about Norse mythology, there would have been a lot of cool stuff. But I would have been more just focused about Kratos and his big axe and just killing stuff and, yeah, God of War. Whereas what I got was the best depiction of Norse mythology in video games that I know of. Where I was, you know, immersed in this world of Midgard and Ulfheim and you know, all these different realms, and it's like, and these characters, and it's like, oh, it's Baldur, like, what the fuck, why is that Baldur? And yeah, so it takes by itself, you know, just a really, really well done third-person action game. Just looking purely at mechanics, you know, the combat is very competent. The Leviathan axe is very fun to play around with. You get some awesome special abilities, and you know, you get the chains eventually, and that's badass as well. And just the combat itself was really good, which was essential. You know, very different than the other games in the series, but for me personally, I thought it was a huge improvement. And I think the game would have suffered a lot more if they had just stuck with the old style. Yeah, you know, it's a little bit Dark Souls-esque, but that's okay. It was really good. So by itself, just mechanics-wise, very good. You know, a little bit open world-ish where you can go around and explore and find all these different things. It's nowhere near as linear as the other games. But then, you know, you have not only the awesome mythology, you have all those aspects. That's great. but then you also back it up with a really strong narrative starring Kratos, old man Kratos. And they could have just had Kratos not that much older or wiser. They could have cut out the kid or, stuff like that. It's just Kratos trying to live his life in a different part of the world, and people piss him off and he kills them. No, they combine all these different aspects. And so they've created one of the best games of the year, easily. For many people, probably the best game of the year. So, yeah, I'm really glad that I did the Exploring Series tie-in. I'm really glad that I was knowledgeable about all the Norse mythology stuff. That really enhanced the experience for me. And I don't think I'll ever play through the game on, like, the hard difficulty or anything like that. Because, really, I would just want to play through it again without recording, without commenting, and just get immersed in the world again. So yeah, very, very high quality stuff. I can't wait for the sequel. It's going to be balls to the wall. So that's number 2, God of War. Alright, so number 1 is, of course, Super Smash Bros. No, I'm just kidding. Monster Hunter World. Yeah, no surprise to anyone, I guess. So this game came out ages ago, January of 2018. And I could not have been more hyped for a video game than I was for Monster Hunter World. Especially after playing, like, the demo or the beta or whatever they called it. I was just like, I was jonesing. I was like, I need this. I need this in my life, please. And, yeah, so it lived up to that hype, which was almost impossible, but it did live up to the hype. And, I've been a fan of Monster Hunter for a number of years now. I'm not an OG fan or anything, but I've been a fan for quite a while. And I would have been happy if they had just released, Monster Hunter 5 or something. And they had just sort of updated the graphics a little bit and put it out on Switch. And boom, there you go. Basically, like Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Like, if they had just released that, I would have been happy. I'd be like, yeah, Monster Hunter on the Switch. I can play on the big screen with the good controller, and it's got all these monsters. Yeah, awesome. But they really just they gave me something I didn't know I wanted until I saw it, and they completely just redeveloped things and knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. It's not perfect. There are definitely some things I would change or add or subtract for Monster Hunter World, but by far the game that I played the most this year. And I wouldn't be shocked if it's the game I played the most in 2019. Although WoW Classic is coming out. They've continually put out updates. They've not abandoned it. They've put out, new monsters, some very fun fights. There's always events going on. They keep drawing you back in. And they've got Iceborne coming out now. That's just going to be hype as hell. And yeah, it's just such a fun game to play. And to try out all the different weapons. And now, recently, I've been playing it, and I've been doing a lot of SOS stuff. So I've been playing with other people. It's crazy. I would have never done that. I would have never really played with strangers back in the day. But it's just so easy now with SOS. You just, you're looking, like, what do I want to hunt? What do I want to do? Okay, I'll jump in here, and boom, you're in, and you're fighting, you're hunting, and it's all good. And it's just good. It's just good. I talked about video games have to be fun. And for me, Monster Hunter World is the most fun I had all year with a video game. So, yeah. I mean, obviously narrative, it's not like God of War or something. Those are very, very different games. And if I wasn't such a big Monster Hunter fan, yeah, certainly God of War would have taken the number one spot. But the formula for Monster Hunter that they've sort of taken and redesigned and put into such a good package makes it just a no-brainer for number one. So that is it. If you're curious, I probably would have put Hollow Knight at number 3, behind Monster Hunter and God of War. Although it's hard to say, because in 20 years, who knows? Who knows? I might be looking more fondly at Hollow Knight than God of War or Monster Hunter World. Who knows? So I'm glad I didn't have to worry about ranking it. I don't know. Did I do a ranking last year? I don't know. I must not have put Hollow Knight because I was still playing it at the time. So I never have to worry about ranking Hollow Knight until I do my top 10 games of all time. Anyways. So that's that, I suppose. Like I said, I like 2018 a lot for video games. I had a lot of fun. There were a lot of great experiences, great stories. And it wasn't a year that really reinvented things or blew anything away completely. It wasn't a new hardware year or anything like that. But 2019 is also looking to be a pretty damn big year, especially in Sony's court. At the very least, you've got Last of Us 2 as a potential one. I'm assuming that's coming out in 2019. You've got Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, although it's not an exclusive, but still, it's a big thing. You've got that one other samurai game that I always forget the name, Ghosts of Tsushima or something, and Cyberpunk 2077. I don't even know if that's coming out this year or not, but yeah, I think 2019 will be a pretty solid year. Pretty damn solid. But 2018 was not half bad at all. Like I said, my top 5 were very easy to think of. Definitely some top tier gaming experiences. But alrighty then, that'll do us. So, goodbye to 2018. Welcome to 2019. My name is Mangg, and I'll see you fine folks around.